What's up, you guys? For today's Vlogmas, I wanted to do a sit down video that you guys have been requesting for a while now. So this is gonna be basically the Depop video that you guys have been asking me for so long to share how to set up a Depop shop or a similar platform. It doesn't have to be Depop, but that's what I use and that's the platform that I'm gonna talk about in this video. My goal with this video, I think I'm gonna include it in my Girl Boss Guide series, so this would be the second video in that series. This is kind of just to show you guys that you can have a normal job that you work, and you can also have something on the side hustle. So you could say Depop is my side hustle. From your home, you can create additional revenue streams for yourself, and if you do want to bring in some extra money, something like selling on Depop and opening a shop online, it might sound complicated, but it is really not too complicated, and you could easily be bringing in some extra income. So a little bit about my shop, just for gauging some interest for you guys. I started my shop over 2 years ago in like maybe August of 2016, and I started because I had so many clothes that I just wanted to get rid of. You have those clothes that really just aren't in good enough condition anymore to sell, that you would want to give to Goodwill or your local, you know, charities, shelters, whatever it may be. So don't sell anything that is not in good enough condition that you would want to get it in the mail yourself. That's kind of like the rule of thumb for if you're going through your closet trying to think of some things that you could sell on something like Depop. The rule of thumb is if you wouldn't pay money for it and if you wouldn't be happy getting it in the mail, then you probably shouldn't list it for money. I sell a lot of things that I go thrifting for and then I resell them, and I sell things from my own personal wardrobe when maybe they don't fit anymore, or I'm just personally over the style of it. So there are other platforms besides Depop. Depop's not like sponsoring me or anything like that. It's just the platform that I chose to use. Oh, I always have a nose itch when I'm filming. I swear, every time I'm filming, I like itch my nose. I'm like, try not to mess my makeup up. But I chose Depop because if you go on that, first of all, it's a free app to download, a free app to use, essentially. It looks pretty much exactly like you're on Instagram, but it's for like buying and selling items. If you wanna research different platforms to sell your goods on, what might be best for you, definitely recommend doing that. I like Depop because of the way that it looks. It's very easy to use. I've never really had any issues with it. All these apps are gonna take a small percentage of what you sell for letting you make your shop on their app, essentially. So you don't have to pay to download the app or use the app, but Depop is gonna take 10% of every purchase. And I think that's pretty small, nothing crazy. I know certain apps can take 15 or 20%. I don't have a problem because you get 90% and they get 10%. And I definitely think that is a fair system. It's really not too much. So that's something to keep in mind though. So how to set up your shop. This is actually pretty simple. So obviously go ahead and download the app and make your account. And then you are going to, I don't know if you do it when you're setting up your account, but at some point during the process, you're gonna need to connect to a PayPal account. It's kind of just like how the orders go through. That doesn't mean that people have to buy through PayPal. People don't have to have a PayPal account to buy from you, but to be a seller, I'm almost positive you have to have a PayPal account because that's how you get paid. They don't like connect to your bank account or anything, they just connect to your PayPal. So PayPal is great. I love it. I've literally like never had any issues with the site. It's always been great to me, and PayPal is also how I see my orders and go through and print my shipping labels, which I'll talk about later. But PayPal makes it really easy to have, like, you can see all, you can log in, you can see your money, you can see your orders, you can ship things out, print out labels directly from PayPal. You can either do a personal account or a business PayPal account. I have a business one for my Depop shop, but I also had a personal account before that I connected to it. So it literally does not matter. And then you're just gonna come up with your shop name. Mine is just Lindsey Hughes. I might change it to something in the future if I get like super serious about having kind of my Depop as like a bigger shop and and a bigger brand, I would probably change the name. But right now it's just Lindsey Hughes because that's how you guys know to find me. You can make your shop name something cute and quirky. You can make it your name. I recommend making it something like kind of cute, but you can totally incorporate your name or really whatever you want. And then you're just gonna want to create your shop bio, which is kind of like you're making an Instagram bio, but for your Depop shop. I'll put in like a little screenshot of what my bio says. Mine says like recycled fashion. Also, I do 15% off of all of my bundle deals, and that is what I put in my bio. If you're gonna be starting your shop, I kind of recommend having some sort of a deal for bundle orders, which basically just means any order of 2 items or more is a bundle. And it's always good to offer people small discounts for those things because it's an initiative for people to buy more and for people to come back to your shop. So that's basically what I have in my bio. Again, you can change this at any time, but just kind of getting set up, you should create a little bio for your shop. And I recommend starting your shop with like around 10 items. You could start with 8 items, you could start with 20, 30 items. When you're doing an initial listing, like starting out your shop, put about 10 items on there just so you don't have a blank shop. And we'll talk about listing items, pricing items, all that kind of stuff, but that's kind of how to get started with your shop. And it's pretty easy. So now let's dive into, I do have a little notebook here that I'm looking at just because I don't want to forget anything, so that's why I'm looking down. But next, let's go over how to gain followers and essentially gain buyers. It's being ridiculous. He's dropping tennis balls. A really good thing to do initially that Depop actually prompts you to do when you're creating your account, I'm pretty sure, is to go ahead and follow shops and follow certain people. I recommend following like 50 to 100 people to start off, because if you follow people, they're gonna get a notification that you followed them, and then if they have a smaller shop like you, they might follow you back. So I recommend as many accounts as you want. You can follow 1,000 accounts, you can follow 50. They might follow you back, and then you could get some followers on your shop, have some eyeballs looking at your items. So that's a really good way to like get started with the community. Also, when you're first starting out, something that can really be helpful if you want to do this is promoting your shop on Instagram. Depop makes it really, really easy to go ahead and promote your items on your Instagram story, and you know, wherever you feel like doing it. I promote mine all the time, you guys know, on my Instagram story and wherever you want to post. Like if it's Snapchat or Facebook, wherever you want to say, hey guys, like I'm selling some stuff. If you want to promote that to your friends, or if you are already like a small influencer and you have an audience, I definitely recommend posting to them, because that is going to be a way to obviously get traction to your shop and say, hey guys, if you want to ever get any of my clothes that I'm selling, follow me on Depop. This is something that you're starting from 0 followers, and you gotta build it up just like any social media account. I mean, this is essentially like kind of a like businessy social media account. So don't get discouraged if you have like 10 followers or 50 or 100 followers, because gradually as you sell items, as people leave you reviews, as you list more and more items and you're more consistent with your shop, you're gonna gain followers if you're taking good pictures and listing good items. It's not all about the followers, it's more about listing good items and taking good pictures, which we will talk about. Segueing that on from what I was just saying, another great way to gain followers and gain eyeballs to your shop when you're first starting out especially, or just in general, is to take good quality pictures for your items. This is something that even I was lacking doing, and I think now, you know, I'm not gonna say my pictures are a 10 out of 10 on my shop, but my pictures are better than they've ever been. Now, I used to take my pictures in the mirror, like just on my phone, a quick mirror shot, and I would always try on the items. That is the biggest thing I can say for your pictures, is trying on the items, at least for me, is extremely helpful. If you're taking photos just of your item laying flat or on the ground or on a hanger, it's typically really not gonna look as good as it would if you were trying it on. And if you can't fit into it, I recommend getting like a cheap mannequin and putting the items on the mannequin and taking a nice lighting quality shot. People on Depop that are selling a lot of items, I recommend looking at their pictures for inspiration, because what I say to you guys, you know, take a good quality picture, you might think of something completely different than I think of. And it's taken me, like I said, 2 years to get from taking mirror pictures to, which still had pretty good lighting most of the time I think, to taking my photos with a self timer on my phone. So what I do is I take my photos directly in front of a window. That is like the biggest thing I can recommend besides like good photos. What goes into a good photo is good lighting. If you can take them outside and use a self timer, or have someone take the pictures of you for you. I would say that would be the most time consuming, but that would probably be the best pictures. I personally feel more comfortable when I'm just doing it myself, and I can put my phone like on my windowsill essentially, get the light coming in, and I put on my self timer for like 3 or 10 seconds, and I just kind of like do little poses, and I take, you know, 10 photos or whatever it is for the item, and then I narrow it down to when you're posting an item on Depop, you can have 4 pictures. So I really recommend doing like 3 try-on pictures of different angles of the product, and then 1 where maybe you're showing the brand name if it's like a cool brand, or you're showing the item lying flat on the ground but still good lighting. I think that's one of the biggest things for a shop, is seeing how it looks on somebody else. Even if it's too big, you can cinch in the waist and like do a little like hold it behind your back for the shot or something. If you take a photo like at night when there's no natural lighting, and you just take a photo of a shirt like on a hanger, it's really not gonna look good. Nobody that would buy that can like see what it looks like on a person, and there's no initiative to buy if the item is, you're trying to sell items as if you were an online shop or a store or whatever it is. So try to take some inspiration for that. You don't have to go all out. Like I said, you can take little mirror pictures as long as you got some good lighting, and just try on the item, snap a quick picture in the mirror. I think that works fine. Now, besides just taking good pictures, you're obviously, like I said, gonna wanna list good quality items. So make sure you're not listing stuff that's in shit condition. You can list things, for example, that have like maybe a hole in it or a mishap or whatever it is, but just put in the item description, hey, there's a hole on this sleeve or whatever it is. Like if it's still like if it still generally looks good, people probably aren't gonna care that much about like a small mishap, but you gotta make the buyer aware of that, or they could write you a negative review for not letting them know before they buy it, hey, there's like a little hole here, or there's some pilling. Some things I really like my buyers to be aware of is like if there's pilling, which is just like the buildup, you know what I mean, of like an item being washed or worn several times. That's something that doesn't come off great in photos, and you would want them to know about that, and you can kind of lower the price a little bit. If you're starting a shop and you want to go thrifting for your items and then resell them, which is a great way to make profit. This is how I kind of like furthered my shop a little bit, besides just being like my personal items that I had in my closet. Some of the brands I would recommend selling on your Depop if you want to get eyeballs and you want to get people excited about your items, and you can also list these things for more money because they're kind of more like vintagey brands. So brands like Fila, Tommy Hilfiger is really big right now, Adidas, Columbia, like the sportswear brand, Reebok, obviously like Nike, Brandy Melville is one that always sells pretty good for me personally, Patagonia, the North Face, like especially a lot of jacket brands I've found, and kind of like sportswear brands that are popular, like I was just saying, Fila, Columbia. Windbreakers always sell good on Depop. I think that's just like a Depop thing. Love selling windbreakers. So you can go thrifting and really have fun with it. I like going thrifting. Also, if I find like turtlenecks when I'm thrifting, a lot of times I cut them to be cropped like right here, and I just do like an even chop, and then you can sell that for like $15 or $16 or so. It obviously depends on the season. List wintry stuff in the winter, and depending on what season it is, list things for the season. Like I was saying, any of those brands that I mentioned are really, really big on Depop, and you can actually like browse the feature on Depop where you can kind of like search for people's shops and brands and items that are trending and all that kind of stuff. So you can always use hashtags in your item descriptions. Like I would say use a hashtag of like the brand that the item is, or use hashtag windbreaker, jacket, hashtag, like whatever the item is. That's a good thing that can probably help a little bit when you're first getting started, is using hashtags to get people to like find your items rather than like find your shop. They might find your item and then find your shop, which is always good. And like I was saying, a huge thing on Depop is going thrifting in your hometown or wherever the heck, buying some things and then reselling them to create a profit. And some people think this is weird. It's just what people do on Depop, and I didn't start my shop doing this, but maybe a year after I created my shop and I had really run out of, like I had sold everything from my closet that I wanted to sell. I still wanted to have my Depop shop, but I was like, well, I don't have any more clothes to sell, so what am I gonna do? well, what I can do that's like a huge popular thing on Depop is to go thrifting, find things that I think are cool, and then like if they don't fit me, I can still buy them and I can still like kind of make it, style it, and I can sell it on Depop to someone that it's their size, or that they are like, oh my god, I've never seen this item before, maybe because Lindsay found it in Boise, Idaho, and I live in Maine. It's all like just a big recycled fashion type thing. And if you're one of those people that's like weird about thrifted clothes, I challenge you to get out of that mindset, because you can find such cool stuff. And obviously, like whenever I get home from thrifting, I give everything a nice wash. If you're not sure what to price your items at, I recommend doing a search on Depop for a similar item. So if you have a Forever 21 shirt and you're like, what the crap do I price this for? I recommend doing a Depop search, just in the search explore tab for Forever 21 shirt. Find some things that are pretty similar-ish to what you're selling, same brand, same kind of style, and see what those people are selling it for, and sell it for something similar to that. You know, don't sell a friggin' Forever 21 shirt for $50. Like, that's obviously not gonna sell it. You should probably sell a Forever 21 shirt for like $9 or $10, honestly, because it's Forever 21 and that's already pretty cheap. But if you're selling something like a Fila windbreaker, you know, I think those could probably sell for $40, $50, sometimes $60, $70, just depending on like how cool it is, what condition it's in. If it's in really nice condition, you know, I sell a good windbreaker for $48 if it's in great condition, and I think it's super cool. Jackets that are heavier, that are name brand, again, like Columbia, Adidas, Nike, or if it's a super cool like a vintage piece from a thrift store, you can sell that stuff sometimes for like $80 or $100. It's pretty cool because you really can make a nice profit off of pieces that are super unique, that, you know, people aren't gonna be able to find that stuff in their town, in their thrift store, but they can go on Depop and they can find it, and it, you know, it's really cool. So just think about it in that way of like, you know, it's cool to think that you're helping people find something unique that they're super stoked about, and people will be willing to pay that price if they really want the item. And also, like, I recommend starting an item at a price that you would like to get for it, but you think is fair. So maybe, let's say I was listing this sweater on Depop. Maybe I'll start listing it $20. If it sells in the next like 3 days, awesome. If it doesn't sell in the next 3 days to a week, I'm probably gonna lower the price on the sweater, because I think I probably listed it too high if it didn't sell in like a week or two. And you don't have to do this, you don't have to lower your prices if it's not selling, but I like to, just as an initiative, obviously, because I'm like, oh, you know, I probably priced it too high, so maybe I would lower it to like $16 or $15 and see if it sold then. It's also up to you if you want to go lower on an item just to sell it. A lot of times people will comment or send me a message, hey, would you do 15? Like, for example, if I listed a sweater for $20, they might message me, hey, could you do it for 15? And you know, it depends on the item. If it's been up for a while and it hasn't sold, I'll typically say, yeah, I could do 15 or I could do 17. Like, try to meet in the middle, a little bit of negotiating. You can, you know, negotiate with people if you want to, or you can stay really firm and be like, nah, it's $20, sorry. And then they might be like, okay, you know, you didn't go to 15. If I really want it, I'll buy it for 20. I recommend obviously being super sweet to your buyers. I always let people do returns to me. That's something that you don't have to. Also, when you're listing items, I recommend having a very detailed description. If you're listing something like a pair of pants, you're gonna wanna put the measurements. So just research or Google like how to take measurements of a pair of pants. You're gonna wanna measure like the inseam, the waist, the hips, things like that. I typically think it's always helpful to put the measurements, because sizing can be weird sometimes. So try to be really detailed with your description, especially when you're first starting, and try to, you know, add hashtags for the brand and whatever it is. Try to add hashtags that would be beneficial for people searching like those items, and that'll always be helpful. And lastly, when you're pricing your items, you are also gonna be listing the shipping price. And let's talk about that now, because I have a lot of tips for this. If you're still watching this long into the video, leave me a comment down below saying, oh, I made it to the shipping part, girl. This is actually gonna be the last topic that we talk about. Honestly, like, it's a little bit complicated when you're first doing this. You're like, what the heck? How do I ship out items? How do I make sure I'm getting the right price? We're gonna talk about all of that right now. So, the first thing that you honestly should get this if you are dedicated to your shop. I recommend it if you do want to pursue this as a side hustle. You should get an item scale Now, I'll put the exact price of this up here. I got mine off of Amazon. This thing is great because it measures in ounces, which is really, really important for any item that's like less than a pound, obviously, or more than a pound. You're just gonna want something like this because it is gonna make your life easier. You're gonna be able to save money on shipping and save your buyers money on shipping, which if you can charge less for shipping, that is gonna make people wanna buy your items more. I'll link this one in the description box below, as well as all of the items that I talk about, because there's a few items that honestly just make shipping so much easier. I didn't use this until like a few months ago, and I was screwing myself, honestly. Like in my last Depop video, I said that I just used the USPS free shipping supplies, like priority mail shipping supplies, which I still occasionally do, but that was a mistake because I was for something like that, you have to charge the priority shipping rate, which is minimum like $6, $7 for just whatever the item is. And now I use something like this and my scale. So I'll use a poly mailer and my scale, and I can send out most of my orders for like $3, $4, $5. It depends on the weight, which is why you need a scale. So you can go on your PayPal, and that's how I print my labels. So if you have a printer, that is great because that means you can print your labels from home and your postage, and you don't need to go to the post office typically, because you can schedule a pickup from USPS. But that's what I like to do. I think it's so helpful to have a printer. I just tape my labels on. Once again, you print them, they already have postage. I print it directly from PayPal, and when I'm creating the label, when I find the order and I go into my PayPal and I'm printing it out, you put in the weight. So if this sweater weighed 10 ounces, I would put that into PayPal, and it would generate exactly how much the label is gonna cost based off of the weight. So that might sound complicated, but once you do it once or twice, super, super easy. So I recommend using PayPal shipping because it's super easy and quick, and you can see all your orders on there. But Depop also lets you do something that's a little bit more simple, but it is more expensive, which is ship with USPS. And that is an option that you would choose for the shipping when you're listing an item. You can either choose ship with USPS, or you can choose like do my own shipping. I always do my own shipping. But if you do ship with USPS, and that's gonna be through Depop, they're gonna give you already like 4 amounts based off of what the item type is to charge for shipping. And then you can print out actually the label directly from your app. If you have like a printer connected to it, you can print out directly from the app your labels that way, and those already have postage as well. So that's pretty helpful, but it is a lot more expensive typically. Sorry if this sounds confusing. Honestly, I just recommend, like I said, doing it through PayPal and ordering some poly mailers. Now these, I have these cute like little snowflake ones, and I order these in an 100 pack on Amazon, and it's like about $20. You could probably get an 100 pack if you got plain ones for like $10 or $12. I'll link to these snowflake ones below if you guys like these, because I get all my poly mailers off of Amazon. And this might look kind of small, but you can fit most items in here, unless it's like a heavy jacket or something that's like not clothing, but you can fit a shirt, a sweater, something like that in here. So most of my orders, since they are usually just one item, fit inside a poly mailer. So I will put the item in the poly mailer, weigh the item, go into PayPal when I'm shipping it. That's the way that I recommend doing it, because while it does take a little bit longer to weigh out your items, and you know, you do have to order the poly mailers yourself, that comes out of your pocket, I think it's a better idea if you're selling it, if you're shipping multiple orders. What I used to do is just use the priority mail envelopes from USPS, which you can order these as many as you want, boxes, labels, all that stuff. You can order it for free to arrive at your doorstep from the USPS website. I'll have a link to that down below. Go check that out if you want to ship this way. If you ship with priority mail, you don't need to have a scale, because it doesn't matter. It's just a flat rate. So if you're going to be shipping priority mail and something like this, you're going to have to charge your buyers like $6 or $7 for shipping. So if you don't have a problem doing that, and you don't want to get a scale and do all the extra weighing, then just ship priority mail. Okay, those are basically the 2 ways to do it. That's probably the most complicated thing, is figuring out the shipping when you're first doing it. And that's what has changed for me over the years, is like, I first used to just ship priority mail, and I would write out my labels, and then I would go to the post office and get postage. And that just takes so long. So I highly recommend, like, if you just do first class mail, which is the cheapest, and you can attach the label with postage already printed out at your computer, attach it to the poly mailer, put your item in here, and then I typically don't have to go to the post office because if you live in the US, go on USPS.com again and you can go on schedule a pickup and you can see if your house or apartment or whatever, wherever you live is eligible for a free pickup, and your mail person will come get it Monday through Friday. It might be on Saturdays. I think it's actually Monday through Saturday. They'll come get it during your mail hours and they will mail out your packages. So you don't even have to go to the post office. I hope this doesn't sound like insanely confusing. That's basically the best way I can describe shipping. Don't get overwhelmed by it. It is very, very simple once you do it like 3 times. Once you ship like 3 or 4 things, you're gonna have it figured out. Most things I ship for like $4 or $5. Occasionally, if it's over a pound, I don't put it in this and I put it in the priority mail. Like a bundle order, I put it in priority mail. Anyway, the sun is literally going down. That's a sign that I've been filming for way too freaking long. Only other things I didn't mention that I think are always nice to have for shipping is a lint roller. I got mine off of Amazon. I'll link it down below if you want to get a lint roller. This is essential if like you have a dog or a cat. Please like try to roll off the hair the best you can. I personally have issues with this. My dog's hair gets on everything, even things that I keep out of his touch, just gets on everything. So I will link this one down below. It's from Amazon, and some shipping tape. If you are gonna be printing your labels at home, you're gonna need, since they're paper, you're gonna need to attach them with some shipping tape. So I just get that in a 6-pack from Amazon. Amazing, pretty simple. That's really all you're gonna need for your shipping. Like I said, once you do it once or 3 or 4 or 5 times, you'll have it figured out. So don't stress, just, you got this, girl. Use that PayPal, go on PayPal, see your orders, print the label, print it out, send it out, and you're good. Stay consistent and stay positive. Know that your shop is not gonna become huge overnight. You're not gonna get a zillion followers overnight. This is something that you're gonna have to work at, but you know what? It's a great way to make some extra income, and I have such a fun time with my shop. I love it. I think of it as like my little tiny small business that I run from my house, and that's about it. Just stay positive. Know that you can do this. It might take a year or 2 or whatever the heck to get your shop to the place you want it to be, but please don't give up hope. If you guys made it to the end of this video, you're a fucking rock star, because I don't know why it takes me so long to get to the point. I feel like I just have so much to say all the time, but hopefully you guys got something good out of this video. I hope this was helpful, and I'll have all the links in the description box to the products I mentioned that I use for shipping, as well as the USPS free shipping supplies and the schedule a pickup link. Go check the description box for that stuff, because that stuff will really help you out if you're gonna be shipping. And I will see you guys in tomorrow's Vlogmas. Thanks so much for watching. I love ya.